What do you think won above all versus God Hadad? The confrontation between the supreme and the ancient divine. Who will win? One above all is the supreme entity of Marvel, considered the origin and pinnacle of power in the entire multiverse. He is not only the embodiment of creation, but also the omnipotent being who holds all power, surpassing even transcendent entities like the Living Tribunal. The power of one above all includes omniscience, omnipotence, and omnipresence, the ability to rewrite reality, surpassing the concepts of time, space, and even the logical limits of the universe. In Marvel, he is the symbol of perfection and invincibility. God Hadad comes from ancient Semitic mythology, also known as Baal Hadad, the god of storms, rain, and thunder. He is the supreme god of Canaan, often seen as the source of life-giving rain, but also the brutal power of storms. Hadad's power is associated with the power to control the climate, destroy crops, create floods, and terrible lightning. He is a symbol of the primal force of nature, both blessing and sowing disaster. Before we dive into the analysis, please click the subscribe button. Please remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you very much. The Overlord is considered the ultimate power in the Marvel Universe. Not only does he possess every conceptual ability, but he is also omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Of all that has ever existed, no entity is above him, for the Overlord is the ultimate source that created the Living Tribunal, the great celestial bodies, and the entire Marvel multiverse. His power is not only overwhelming, but also absolute, rendering all definitions of victory or defeat meaningless in his presence. He is not bound by any rules, power systems, or scales, for those very measures were created by him. It was a time when different scales of power were used to compare characters, but all of them were but small shadows when placed next to him. It was he who gave birth to the first sky, a primordial entity that was superior to eternity, and from there the first era of creation was born. When the first sky collapsed, its ashes blossomed into the first multiverse. From that moment on, every dimension, every timeline, and every law originated from the hand and will of the Most High. No force can challenge him, for he is the source of all concepts of power and existence. In the source of all creative power, he is considered the Lord of the entire Marvel Universe, present everywhere, encompassing all space and time. The ultimate home, called the Most High House, is the sacred symbol associated with him. The Most High once asserted that his only weapon is love, a statement that the Watcher has also confirmed. In this way, he is not only the embodiment of infinite power, but also the source of compassion, mercy, and boundless light. Though he rarely reveals himself, the Most High leaves his mark with mystery and inexplicable attraction. He often chooses to observe, feel, and experience his creation through countless different perspectives, as if the entire universe were the eyes reflecting his existence. The Most High is not only the creator, but also the source of faith, inspiration, and undying love, leaving an indelible mark on the minds of every being who has had the opportunity to witness his magical presence. About 1 billion years ago, the Most High was forced to act when Hadad, the primordial storm god, became so powerful that he could subdue even abstract entities that were once considered invincible. His power expanded across all dimensions, shaking the balance of the universe. In the Battle of the Manifestation Dimension, one above all confronted Hadad head-on. In a matter of moments, he defeated the tyrannical god, stopping his ambitions. However, Hadad was not destroyed. He fell into hibernation, awaiting the moment to be reborn to bring destruction once again, accompanying the other storm gods. In another moment, when Susan Storm feared the possible death of her husband at the hands of the supposedly invincible Silver Surfer, one above all affirmed that his weapon was love. This message was not only an affirmation of power, but also a testament to the divine nature of one above all, the greatest creator. When Doctor Strange spoke to eternity, the entity revealed that he and death encompassed all of reality, but even they could not claim to be God. Only the Most High had control over all dimensions, all timelines, and all existence. The Living Tribunal has long been considered the embodiment of power. Many sources have claimed that he represents a power far beyond that of eternity. Even the Infinity Well, the all-knowing source of knowledge in Death's realm, described the Tribunal as the voice of the Most High. In a major ruling, the tribunal declared that eternity was the first to report an imbalance in the cosmic order and that he had sided with eternity. During this period of chaos, the goddess launched a crusade, believing that by cleansing creation of darkness and evil, she would serve the will of the Supreme Being. With fanatical faith, she gathered dozens of Earth's most powerful and devout heroes, bringing them to her base in Omega Paradise, where the light was a promise of salvation, but also contained harshness and extremes. Meanwhile, the Silver Surfer argued that the combined power of the Infinity Gems would surpass that of the cosmic control units. It was then that the One Above appeared at the House of Ideas, meeting the Fantastic Four in a tragic moment when the Thing had fallen. He praised their indomitable perseverance in exploring the universe and gave them hope with the promise that great wonders still awaited. And with his eternal light, he resurrected the Thing, proving that the ultimate power is not destruction, but also love and rebirth. Thanos and another version of Adam Warlock had a brief but pivotal encounter with the Supreme Being, where Thanos convinced him to restore reality in exchange for Adam Warlock taking over the vacant position of the previously fallen Living Tribunal. However, tragedy began when Thanos was manipulated by his future self, using the astral regulator to absorb the energy of countless cosmic entities. The entire multiverse was plunged into chaos, the layers of reality trembling and melting before the unstoppable whirlwind of power. The Supreme Being and the Living Tribunal directly intervened, but Thanos' power at that time was far greater than all. In a moment of terror, he absorbed them all. However, hope never faded. Adam Warlock, Kang the Conqueror, Star Fox, and Pip the Troll combined their powers, opening a gap for the present Thanos to regain control from his future self. In this restoration, the Most High also seemed to be restored to its original nature, as if its power had always been present, unchanging and eternal. The Most High encountered the Guardians, who had been sent by Eternity on a mission to learn about an unknown threat. When they entered the House of Ideas,
Blue Marvel questioned the authenticity of the Most High's name, and the Most High unleashed a wave of pre-creation creatures to attack the Guardians. Adam later explained that the Most High was a primordial creative force, the highest limit they could ever reach. However, the Most High could also manifest through its dark counterpart, the Below All, to destroy the life it created in order to start over, believing that it would renew itself through the endless cycle of death and rebirth in the multiverse. I really hope you subscribe to the channel. It will help us a lot, and you are the best. Thank you so much. Millions of years ago, Baal Hadad, the primordial storm god of Earth, rose to a height of power that surpassed all other gods. With his power raging like a tornado tearing apart the sky, he entered the manifestation dimension, the place where the pillars of the entire universe were hidden. There, Hadad demonstrated his dominance by transforming eternity into a cloak that covered his body, transforming death into a war staff that radiated boundless, murderous intent, donning the fiery armor of the Phoenix Force and raising an impenetrable shield forged from infinity. In that storm of power, he struck fear into all of reality. But then, in his arrogance, Hadad was confronted by a power that surpassed the absolute One Above, and only he was capable of defeating the primordial storm god. Hadad was hailed as the first storm god, an old man who did not weaken but grew stronger. He defeated countless abstract entities, even the Living Tribunal, a terrifying testament to the arrogance of his power. In a moment of brutality, he murdered Oblivion, the entity that symbolized the eternal void, plunging reality into an unending obsession. He commanded the Black Winter to descend, signaling the destruction of all realities, all realms, all multiverses. The Black Winter became the darkness that opposed the White Phoenix of the Crown, a force equal to the Phoenix itself, ready to devour light and hope. When Tiamat and her son Kingu attacked the Anunnaki, Baal, aided by his brother Ea, rose up to seize the throne from Dagon, the sky god who had succeeded Anu but was considered weak and powerless. However, Baal's glory was short-lived. Dagon's son, the giant Ulakumis, rose up and drove him from his throne with the force of a mountain-crushing storm. In this fierce confrontation, Baal and Ea could only win by using a magical saw to cut off Ulakumis' legs, weakening him and causing him to fall from his throne. After that battle, the flow of power changed again. Ea's son Marduk ascended the throne, becoming becoming the leader of the Anunnaki, ushering in a new era of the gods. But Baal refused to settle. Longing to reach the ultimate secret of life and death, he entered the dark world of Urkala, the realm of the dead. There Mot, the god of death, often associated with Nergal, set a trap for Baal, forcing him to eat from the table of the dead, trapping him in the eternal darkness of the underworld. However, tragedy was not the end. Baal's wife, the warrior goddess Enath, rose up to confront Mot in a bloody battle. With her strength and unyielding loyalty, she defeated the god of death, opening the way for her husband to be resurrected. Thus, Baal returned to human veneration. The Sumerians worshipped him under the name Ishkur, the Assyrians called him Adad, and the Babylonians honored him with thunder rites. In Ugarit, the name Hadu resonated, while in Anatolia he was known as Teshub, the storm god, who was always at odds with his arch nemesis, Ulakumis. After Anu ordered most of his ties to Earth to be severed and returned to Dilmun, many of the Anunnaki feared losing their influence over the mortal realm. They were approached by the ancient demon Marduk Kurios, who offered them eternal power. Those who accepted the terms of the deal were transformed into demons, including Baal. A place of unspeakable evil, the inhabitants of Gehenna committed heinous crimes in the name of Baal. Baal led his followers in many depraved and disgusting rituals, including drinking human blood. It is believed that God was so outraged by the atrocities committed in Gehenna that he sent a proud warrior known as the Hand of God, armed with unbreakable steel and divine power. The Hand of God slew Baal, but his evil nature was so strong that it actually spilled out of his dead body and into a glittering, multifaceted stone. Cut by his own followers, this enchanted stone became known as the Gehenna Stone. In the late 20th century, several fragments of the Gehenna Stone were discovered and Baal's spirit awakened. As more fragments were found, Baal regained enough power to possess a mortal host and recreate his corporeal form. From there, he used his power to create Baalists, pseudo-vampires who lived and died at Baal's command. Baal learns that Corrigan possesses the shard and sends his fake vampires after him. Fortunately for Corrigan, he has help. His brother Archie is also in San Francisco, along with Archie's friends Patch, aka Wolverine, and Jessica Drew. And at that point, he comes into conflict with Wolverine. Wolverine attempts to kill Baal with his claws, but Baal repels his attempts with powerful energy blasts that electrocute Wolverine. Baal uses his powers to transform one of Baal's followers into a giant, monstrous creature, hoping that the creature will be enough to defeat Wolverine. As Baal's powers rapidly wane, Wolverine rushes in to finish him off. His claws pierce Baal's chest, and the force of the blow sends both warriors flying out of the castle window and onto the rocks below. Wolverine got up, but Baal staggered onto the beach and then fell, seemingly dead. However, an entity like Baal can never truly die, and he reappeared several years later. Baal Hadad eventually returned, seemingly reverting to his original storm god form, causing a war to break out between the storm gods of the various pantheons on Earth. A dimensional rift appears, merging the Marvel multiverse with the ancient mythical dimension of Canaan. One above all, the supreme being of the Marvel universe, senses the intrusion of an ancient force, God Hadad, the mighty god of storms and war. Hadad, with the pride of an ancient god, challenges the authority of One above all, declaring that he alone is the supreme god who governs all storms and life. One above all, with his calm but uncompromising nature, protects the balance of the multiverse. Hadad opens the battle with a terrifying display of power, summoning storms of lightning that swirl across the cosmic sky. The lightning bolts he fires are so bright that they tear apart the void, powerful enough to crush an entire galaxy. Not stopping there, he also creates giant time vortexes, causing the flow of reality to become chaotic, shaking the foundations of space. The skies seemed to crack, layers of light were torn apart, revealing chaotic fragments of the multiverse. However, in the face of such boundless power, One above all only waved his hand, and the entire storm was instantly dissolved. The fierce lightning bolts dissipated, turning into soft streaks of light that spread throughout the space, as brilliant as reborn galaxies. The chaotic reality was immediately restructured, returning to balance in a single breath. His power did not evoke destruction, but absolute harmony, turning the scene into an overwhelming picture of heaven. Hadad, despite clearly feeling the terrible difference in power, still refused to back down. His eyes were fiery, arrogant, and heroic, revealing an unyielding desire. He poured all his power into the sacred symbol of the Hammer of Thunder, a divine treasure associated with the will to conquer the sky. As he swung the hammer, each ray of light emitted from it transformed into a swirling stream of energy that rushed straight towards One Above All as a decisive blow to prove his existence. Hadad compressed all of his sacred power, merging the power of the storm with the fury of war, creating a giant superstorm that covered the sky of the universe. Giant lightning columns intertwined, exploding as if wanting to tear apart the fabric of reality. One Above All did not show any signs of wavering. He unleashed his ultimate power, not only extinguishing the superstorm in an instant, but also reconstructing the entire dimension of battle. The fierce whirlwinds turned into gentle streaks of light, the fierce lightning columns melted into sparkling stars, and the violent space suddenly transformed into a peaceful realm filled with light. Where the roar of the hurricane once echoed, there was now only absolute silence, purity, and harmony. Hadad braced himself to fight back, struggling to unleash his final blows to break that silence. However, all efforts were in vain. Every lightning he unleashed turned into a gentle light. Every wind he created turned into a breath of life. Hadad was forced to watch his own storm turn into a testament to the absolute creative power of the One Above All. As the supreme being of the Marvel Universe, representing creation and absolute power, One Above All far surpassed any god in any mythology, including Hadad. Winner, One Above All.
I hope you enjoyed this fight. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That's it for today's video. Thank you very much.